Hey guys, what's up? This is Koganinja, and I'm back. It is 2020. All right, Happy New Year to everybody out there. Happy New Year to all the dice controllers, to all my students. Thanks for watching all of my videos. Thanks for reaching out to me. Thanks for coming out and training with me. Thank you for purchasing all of my video courses. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody and to thank everybody, all of my students, all the people that follow me, all the people that buy my courses, all my students that have come out and trained with me. I really appreciate it. And just to let everybody know, in this new year, I'm still around. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. So just to let you know, this year I'm going to have two group seminars set up for you guys. I'm only doing two this year, and the information will be found down in the video description. And you can also go to my website, www.koganinjadicecontrol.com, and find out when those dates are to come out and do a group seminar with me. But like I said, I've only got two set up this year. And this year I've got a lot of stuff going on outside of the dice control. So like I said, I'm only going to be able to do two this year. And the rest of the time I'm going to be focusing on doing one-on-one trainings. All right, so most of my focus is going to be doing just private one-on-one training, simply because of all the other stuff that I'm going to be doing this year. All right, so now for you guys that are busy, you guys that are watching this video, just to let you know that this is not a video. It's more of an audio. So you've already seen what's up on the screen. So at this point, if there's anything that you're doing, you don't have to keep your face on the screen, because I'm just going to be talking for the rest of the video. So it's just an audio, really. So all the information that you've seen on the screen up until this point, that's all the information that's going to be there. So if you got stuff to do, other things to do, you need to start cooking, you need to do whatever, you can just listen to what I'm saying. All right, so let's get into the content of this video, what this video is about. And let me go ahead and say what it is. It is a misconception. There is a misconception about me and what I teach live in person that I want to get straight to everybody, so that everybody understands where I'm coming from and what I teach. So that is the big misconception, and that's why it's titled entitled The Misconception. And that is because a lot of people are assuming stuff about what I teach, and they are 100% completely wrong. So let's clear that up in this video. So first thing I want to say is that there's a lot of new people, a lot of new guys and gals that are coming into dice control. They're discovering it for the very first time, and then they go on YouTube and they see my name and they see that I've got videos and I sell videos, and then they start getting onto the forums that are on the internet, and people start getting into their ear and asking, what about Koganinja? And all these other people jump in and start saying all this stuff about me. And the fact of the matter is, it's, when they ask about my training, they don't know what they're talking about. All the information that they're giving these new people is 100% incorrect. So we're going to clear that up in this video. So let's get into it right now, so that anybody that's coming into dice control for the very first time, they're going to know exactly the type of training you are going to get from me when you actually come and train with me. All right, that's the main thing, is what I teach when you come and train with me in my group seminars or my one-on-one trainings. So that's what we're going to be discussing. All right, so let's get into it right now. Let me start out by saying that there's guys out there that are teaching dice control, and they're like the Golden Boys that are teaching, and then there's a guy out here in Las Vegas, two guys out here in Las Vegas. He's a rock and roll dude, and then there's another guy. I'm just going to call him the bow and arrow guy. And then there's other guys, a couple other guys across the United States. There's I'll just say the big guy. And so all of these guys are teaching dice control. And so what happens is people think that what these guys are teaching is what I'm teaching. And it is completely false. What those guys teach and what I teach are completely different. And I'm specifically talking about when you come and train with me in person at a group seminar or on a one-on-one training basis. So with that, let me go ahead and explain to you some background. You need to hear a little bit of background story on dice control so that you'll truly understand where I'm coming from. All right, so it starts like this. The first book ever written on dice control as we know it, modern dice control, was a guy. He wrote a book, and the guy's name is Yuri Koganinjas. And he wrote a book called The Gambling Disciples of God, or something to that effect. And in the book, he advocates shooting from straight out, using a 3-finger overhand grip, throwing the dice at a 45-degree angle, which is pretty much the throw everybody on the internet is teaching. All right? And Yuri is the first guy that started all this. He was the one that wrote the very first book on the subject. So I do consider him to be the father of modern dice control as we know it today. And I tip my hat off to the guy. All right, I heard the few things that I've heard about him. When he was still playing, he was a total badass. So I tip my hat to the guy. Then about 4 years after that, a guy came along named Chris Paulicki, an engineer. He's an engineer by trade, and he came along, and Chris Paulicki wrote a book called Get the Edge on Craps, and written by Sharpshooter, and that's his nickname. Sharpshooter is actually Chris Paulicki. That's what everybody in the dice control community knows him as, Sharpshooter. All right, so Sharpshooter, somewhere along the line, ends up meeting a guy named Jerry Patterson. And Jerry Patterson, at the time, was a systems seller. He would sell systems on how to beat the different games in the casino. But he did not have one, from my understanding, he did not have one on the game of craps. But he had one on like slot machines and blackjack. But he did not have a system to sell for the game of craps. And he ends up meeting, these two individuals end up meeting, and voila, they decided, Jerry says, hey, let's create a system, and we can start doing, we can put it out in book form, we can put it out in a package form, and then we can also do seminars. And so that's what they did. And it became what is known as the PAR method. So it's Chris Paulicki's thesis on the art of dice control, along with Jerry Patterson's marketing. And they came together and they formed a company. They formed a system called the PAR method, it's a method for shooting dice control. Now, what Chris did is, from Yuri Kononinko, what he did is Chris, instead of shooting the full length of the table, shooting from straight out as Yuri preached, Chris said, no, let's get closer to the back wall. And so he derived his system so that when you throw the shot, you're throwing it from halfway from the back wall. Either stick left one or stick right one. And that was Chris Paulicki's major, development for dice control, was moving it to the halfway part of shooting from the halfway part of the table. Again, using the 3-finger overhand grip and 45-degree angle toss. All right. So now you understand the background. You're starting to understand some history of dice control. Then what happened was this. When Jerry Patterson and Chris Paulicki started doing their seminars, students started showing up. Well, the pre-mentioned guys that I mentioned earlier, the Golden Boys, the bow and arrow guy, the big guy, the rock and roll guy, all these guys are ex-students of PAR. And what they did is they ended up going to these seminars with Chris and Jerry, and then after they left the seminars, somewhere down the line, they decided that they would open up their own businesses, teaching the PAR method on how to throw dice controlled. And that's what happened. So also now you have all these companies that are out here and they're teaching dice control. But here's the thing. They are teaching the PAR style of throwing. All right? Now, then some years go by, and this guy out of nowhere, living in Las Vegas, hears about, watches a documentary and learns, comes across a documentary that he saw on the History Channel about this guy named Dominator. And the documentary was called Breaking Vegas. It's about this guy who learns this method of throwing and goes out there and kicks the shit out of all the casinos. All right? And I'm that guy from Las Vegas who sees this video and go, wow, there might be something to this. So I end up getting the Golden Boys DVDs, and I learned the method, which is essentially the PAR method. And that was my introduction to dice control. And I explain this in another video that I have, and it's called My Background, and it's a 2-part video, two parts, and I explain my whole background and how I got started in this. But here's the thing. When I started doing this, a couple of months into it, I realized that there was something to it. That yes, it did work. But I realized really fast that the method in and of itself was not perfect. There was flaws in it. There were holes in it. And the throw in and of itself was not a perfect method. It was not fully completed in my eyes. So what I did is I started to reverse engineer the throw. I have a very analytical mind. I can see things, look at things, and break them down and just reverse engineer things. I used to work with a company where it was a total all about creativity, and we would have to sit there and try to figure out how to make things work and create new products from these basic beginnings, essentially. And that's the kind of mind that I have. So I started to reverse engineer the PAR method. And what I realized really, really fast, that it was not a perfect system and it was not a perfect throw. So I ended up reverse engineering it, and I came up, I've been doing this essentially now, I think this is my 8.5 year, something like that I've been doing this, and I have reworked the methodology to where it is now a completely new throwing method. It is completely different than anything that all these pre-mentioned guys are teaching. So that is the misconception. I do not teach what these guys teach. So don't put me in that category. I developed a method of throwing that is so unique, so different, and built into the throw helps you, and I'm the only one that does this, the only throw that's out there that does this, and that is, it helps my throw, when you learn it, helps to minimize the effect of unbalanced dice, or what are known as biased dice. And I have another video I talk about this. There's been another guy on YouTube that who kind of hit on this idea that different sizes of dice and different weights of dice will cause you to 7 out faster. Well, yeah, that's true. But it goes further than that. The reality is dice are manufactured unbalanced. That's the reality. And once you understand that dice are manufactured unbalanced, and that's the way they hit the casinos, you end up getting more 7 outs. And because of the way that they're manufactured, you end up with more 6-1 7 outs than you will any other 7 out versus a 3-4 or a 5-2 7 out. This is a fact. I don't care what anybody says. This is a fact. And if you go to dailymotion.com, which is another video platform service, and punch in, use the search words unbalanced dice, you will find a 15-part video series that I did 7 years ago, I think, 8 years ago, talking about unbalanced dice and my thought process on, yes, unbalanced dice do exist, and this is the proof. And it's a 15-part video series, and you can go watch it on dailymotion.com. Just use the search words unbalanced dice, and the uploader is LV Bear Growls. So my throw, even though it looks like a par throw, it is not. Once I dissect the throw for my students that come and train with me live in person in one of my group seminars or in my live one-on-ones, they get to actually see the difference of how my shot works versus the shot that's being taught by all the pre-mentioned companies and guys out there. The par throw. It is completely different, guys. So do not clump me in with that, with the PAR method. I don't teach the PAR method in my live video courses. I don't. And it's unfortunate that all these new guys come to these forums, and then people start asking about me, and then all these guys that don't know shit about shit end up talking and saying stuff that I teach a certain throw, and they just don't know what I teach because they've never trained with me in person. So how could they know what I teach? So it's ridiculous. So don't listen to anybody that doesn't. The only people that you should be listening to are my ex-students. That's it. The only people you should be listening to are me. Don't listen to any other people. Unless they've come and trained with me live in person, they don't know shit about what I teach. All right? So, and of course, I'm not going to be putting that information on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to be giving that information away for two reasons. One, I'm not going to give it away for free. You know, like the Joker says, if you're good at something, you don't give it away for free. And two, I'm not going to put it on in the public eye so that the casinos can see what is possible with a controlled throw and then start making countermeasures. Not going to do it. If you want to learn this method, you need to come and train with me. So that is the big misconception, guys. That is the big misconception, that people think that I teach the exact same methodology as all these other guys that I've pre-mentioned. And I don't. My Shinobi Master Level course, which I teach live in person, in my group seminars, in my live one-on-ones, I teach you a shot called the Shinobi Throw. And the Shinobi Throw is unbelievable. It's completely different. And I prove it to my students. I show it to my students. I break it down between the par throw and the Shinobi Throw. They see the difference and they go, oh my God, you're absolutely right. And I can see it working. Then I teach them how to do it, and then they end up doing it. And they can see, and they can actually reproduce exactly what I tell them to do. And they know that they are no longer throwing the par throw. So when all these guys come and train with me, they're throwing the par shot. And I have to break them of that bad habit and get them to learn the way I teach people to throw. I teach them my Shinobi Throw. It's completely different, guys. It's completely different. And if you think you know what it is, unless you've come and trained with me, you don't. You don't know shit about shit. I'm sorry to tell you, but you don't. So stop spreading bad rumors and bad information about me. Because you don't, unless you've trained with me, you don't know what I teach. My methodology, compared to the par throw, is light years ahead of what these other schools are teaching. The other schools and the pre-mentioned people that I earlier talked about, all these guys are teaching an old, antiquated, outdated technique that's been around since the book Get the Edge on Craps with what Chris Paulicki wrote. And you know what? And I have to tip my hat to Chris, because he was onto something. He really was. I'm sure he's a great guy. I would love to meet him sometime and hang out and just chit chat. But I'm telling you, what I teach is not the par method. It's not what Yuri came up with, and it's not what Chris came up with. It's not what Sharpshooter came up with. My methodology is completely different. It's more highly advanced, and it's specifically made, the shot is specifically made to minimize the effect of unbalanced dice. And once you understand what unbalanced dice are, biased dice, it'll make a whole lot more sense. Here's the distinction that I made years ago, and that is, if you want to be a recreational player and not play every single day, you just want to be a recreational player a couple of times, 3 or 4 times a month, then go ahead and learn the par method. It's all you need. But if you are going to make a second income from playing craps, and you are in the casinos and you're playing every single day, or a minimum of 4 days a week, you need my methodology, because that's what my methodology is for. My methodology is not for weekend warriors. It is for people that want to create a second income, or if they decide they have that mentality to be full-time gambling craps players, they can do it with my methodology. They can do it. That's what my methodology is designed for. And I charge a lot for it. It is not cheap. So if you come and train with me, do not expect a $500 seminar. Ain't going to happen. It's a lot more than that, all right? Same thing with my one-on-ones. I charge a lot for what I do. I've been teaching this and working on this curriculum that I teach, my Shinobi Master Level course, for 8 years of my life, guys. So do you think I'm gonna give that away for free in videos? You're fucking crazy if you think that. All right, so that is the big misconception, guys. The big misconception is people think that I am teaching what other people teach, and that when I'm specifically talking live in person, or in live in person in my group seminar or my one-on-one specifically. Big misconception. Now, there's an exception to that. I have a video course out right now called, and I've been selling it worldwide through my website, and it's called Koganinjas Kick-Ass Dice Control Video Course. And in that course, it's an amazing course if you're new to dice control, but it's essentially the par throw. I am teaching you the par throw. It's because it's a basic to intermediate level course. It's what it is in that video course. It's the par throw, my couple of modifications that I did to it, and I teach, and it's a great primer to get you going and to get you ready if you decide you ever want to take your game to the next level and come out and train with me. All right, but it's just a primer. It's just it was made and designed for the recreational player. Can you win money with that? Absolutely. I know guys that have won thousands of dollars using my course. It's better than the videos. It's better than any video course that's out there right now on dice control. It's better than any video course on there. Essentially, the material that you're going to learn in my Koganinjas Kick-Ass Dice Control video course is the exact same material that you're going to learn from all these pre-mentioned guys that are charging $1,000 and $1,500 to attend their seminars. You can learn the exact same material in this course for like $300, like $327 is the retail price on it. It's what I got it for right now on my website. That's the normal price. And you can learn what those guys are teaching in their 2 and 3 day seminars. You can learn the exact same material in my video course for $327. So is it worth $327? Every fucking penny it's worth. Absolutely. Because in this video course, not only do I teach you the par throw, I also teach you how to make a dice gripper, which you need to make a dice gripper, and train on the dice gripper so that it helps you develop your grip, that 3-finger overhand grip. And I teach you how to build an amazing dice gripper from the ground up. Then I talk about how to build your dice rig because like I said, it's a beginner's course, a beginning to intermediate level course. Then I teach you how to perfectly put together a dice rig and a throwing station. I teach you how to put everything together so that it mimics a real casino table. And just the price of just knowing how to put together a correct throwing and receiving station and how to get that perfect bounce is more than price. Is just that one secret is more than the whole price of the course. Seriously, guys. But like I said, in that Kick-Ass Koganinja Dice Control course, it is just the par throw. I'm teaching the par throw with a couple of little additions that I made to it, like 3 or 4 additions that I made to it, but essentially it's the par throw. Okay? And it's the exact same material that you would learn if you went to any of the pre-mentioned guys that I talked about earlier. All right? That's in that course, I teach what those guys are teaching. Absolutely. But even then, I still added other stuff to make my course a good, workable course for the occasional dice controller. Okay? Now, when you are ready and you want to take your game to an astronomical level to where you're throwing consistent all the time, then and only then will you come and train with me live in person at one of my group seminars or my one-on-ones where you are learning the Shinobi Master Level course material, and I teach you the Shinobi throw. That is when everything changes. And I'm telling you guys, there's nobody on the internet, there's nobody in the books that knows the material that I teach in that course. The only people that know what I teach are my past students. That's it. No one else knows. The information that is contained in this course has not been revealed on the internet, in any of the books, anywhere. Nobody knows this material. It's at me and my past students. It is a completely different way of looking at dice control. It is a completely different way of throwing the dice. It looks very similar to the par throw and what I teach in my Koganinja dice, kick-ass dice control course. And it looks like what the other guys, pre-mentioned guys that I spoke about, it looks like what they're doing, but it's not. When you break it down, and I go from section to section to section and really micromanage and teach every little section, you soon realize that it is not the same throw. And it helps minimize the bad dice. I'm the only instructor in the world that teaches a shot that will help you minimize the effect of bad dice, unbalanced dice, biased dice. And these exist in the casino every single day here in Las Vegas and almost every part of the world, with the exception of the state of Colorado. Colorado is the only state where you will get a legal, fair game, a real fair dice control game. A fair craps game because of the way that they regulate their dice. All right, the state of Colorado is the only state. Now, if you want to kick ass at dice control and just bang out 6 and 8s like it's diarrhea shooting out your ass, go to Colorado. You'll get a fair game there. Here, completely different story. Here, it's an uphill battle, guys. It's an uphill battle. All right, guys. So there it is. That is the big misconception that I wanted to clear up. It was about time that I made this video, simply because there's just been too many people talking about what I teach, and they just do not know the difference. They just do not know the difference. I do not, in my live course, in my one-on-ones and my group seminars, I do not teach what the other pre-mentioned guys teach. It's so far advanced from that prehistoric, outdated technique that they are teaching. So there you go, guys. Just a quick shout out really quick for my website, www.koganinjadicecontrol.com. If you want to learn the off-axis methodology of throwing, I have an amazing video course called the Evolution Throw, and it literally is an A to Z master level course. It's a standalone course, and it's an amazing course on how to throw the dice off axis. And it is an encyclopedia of the art of throwing off axis. And if you are the type of guy that has a handicap, you might be missing fingers, an arm, you're in a wheelchair, and you just can't throw the par style throw, using the 3-finger overhand grip and 45-degree angle toss. If you can't throw that for whatever particular reason, but yet you can throw the dice with one of your hands, either left or right, then you need to get the Evolution Throw. I had recently had a gentleman purchase my course. He bought it on a Friday morning, watched it all day Friday, practiced for like 3 hours on Saturday, and then on Sunday went out and won like $2,000. First time he ever used it. Literally, guys, it's an amazing, amazing course. And I know, and honestly, to tell you the truth, there are guys that have completely abandoned shooting on axis for off axis because they don't want to put the time into it. Now, is off axis throwing better than on axis? In my opinion, no, it's not. On axis throwing is still a far superior way of dice control, but you can still get amazing results with off axis throwing. And the evolution throw is my manifesto to the art of dice control throwing off axis. It is an A to Z course. It's a beginning to master level course, and it's all there. It's a one shot deal, guys, and it's an amazing course. If you ever wanted to add another tool to your tool belt, more arrows to your quiver, as they would say, get the evolution throw. It will serve you well. And if there's any past students that have bought the evolution throw and it's not working for you for whatever reason, you need to reach out to me and let's find out what you're doing wrong so that we can fix it, because it is a proven technique and I can teach this technique to anybody and get them to be throwing it right and getting it to work correctly. If you were a person that came to me and said, hey, give me a 15-minute course on how to throw controlled, I could teach them one of the evolution throws, one of the grips and tosses from that course, and within 5 minutes you'll be able to throw off axis. And I have proved this over and over with all the people that come to my all like friends and stuff. They'll come to my place, and of course, you know, I'll say, hey, come over here, I want to show you something. And I say, hey, hold the dice like this, do this kind of thing, and throw it. And sure enough, they're throwing the evolution throw literally within 5 minutes. It's an amazing course. Okay. Again, it is not superior to on axis, but off axis does have its place, especially for super long tables and extremely bouncy tables. Definitely has its place. It's an amazing technique, and I've put the absolute best material in this course. No one, and I'm going to tell you this right now, no one's going to be able to put a course together or come up with a technique that's better than what I've done. It just isn't going to happen. I reverse engineered this off-axis throw and made it the absolute best it can be, completely demystified it so that anybody I can teach my mom how to throw this shot if I wanted to. All right, it's that easy, guys. So if you're handicapped or you have if you have things that are preventing you from throwing the 3-finger overhand grip and toss, which is a extremely exacting methodology, if you do not have that dexterity or superior dexterity, then I advise you to get the evolution throw. It will serve you well, I guarantee it, and you will be able to go into a casino. You'll be able to win money with it, and you will not be a random roller. You will be throwing a controlled off-axis throw, and you will get the money. You will get the money. All right, guys, that is it. That is all I have to say for this video. It was a long one. It's about 40 minutes long on this video, but it had to be said. I finally just said, you know what? Screw it. I got to let people know not to be pigeonholing me into a certain category and not clumping me in with what other guys are teaching. I do not teach what those guys are teaching. When it comes to my group seminars, my one-on-one privates, I teach us the Shinobi throw, the Shinobi master level course, and it is light years ahead of any other company and any of the pre-mentioned guys that I've talked about. My stuff is light years ahead. It's the new methodology for throwing, guys, and you're not going to find it anywhere in the books. You're not going to find it anywhere on the internet. The only way that information, the only way to get that information is to come and train with me, because my students are tight-lipped. They will not reveal the technique to you. They will not do it. So don't even try. If you ever come across one of my students that have ever trained with me live in person, they will not reveal it to you. You got to come and train with me, guys. We're a close, me and my students are a very close knit group of guys, and they've been handed the truth. They know what the truth is with dice control, what is possible, and they get out there and they kick ass. If they apply what I teach them, they kick ass and win money. All right, guys, that is it. That is it. That is it. I'm not saying anything else. Happy New Year 2020. Happy New Year, everyone out there. Thank you so much. This is Koganinja. I'm out.